Hi. Okay, week 3. I'm excited because we finally get to start meeting in person. I don't know about you, but like on my end of it, being the instructor, so far it's felt like an online class, and I don't like online classes. I don't like just checking Blackboard. It feels like an office job. I'm really excited because starting this week, we get to meet in person. We get to actually do stuff face to face. And the good news is from here on out, I checked the schedule, and if I'm not mistaken, every week from here on out, we'll be meeting in person. That means that it won't just all be online work. You'll do the lecture stuff at home, but we'll get to do the lab and hands-on stuff in person. All right? So that's the good news. Let's look at what we've got this week. So first off, the lecture part. You need to watch the Chapter 5 lecture videos. Chapter 5 is on tissues. So far in the class, like last week, we looked at chemistry. If you remember back in Chapter 1, we talked about levels of complexity, like how life is organized. So it starts off with subatomic particles and atoms and molecules. We talked about that in Chapter 2. Then molecules come together to make macromolecules, which lead to cells, or organelles and cells and tissues. So we've kind of been building up the way that we've talked about so far. Chapter 5 is on tissues, so we're building up and getting a little bit more complex. To me, this is where it starts to feel like anatomy, because we're going to talk about the different tissues that are in your body, and you'll be able to see their functions and what they do. Okay? So watch that chapter. Take notes. Remember, you've got a PowerPoint that you can print off for a handout. And just like we did on Chapter 1, there's a Learn Smart assignment that you can do, and you can earn a few bonus points for the test if you'll do that. All right? So after you watch the Chapter 5 lecture, go to the Learn Smart bonus tab over to the left, and you can go through the Chapter 5 Learn Smart assignment. All right? Remember, you've got until the exam, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit, but you've got until the date of your exam to finish up the Learn Smart assignments. And if you do all of those, you could have earned 3 bonus points from the Chapter 1 Learn Smart. You can earn 3 bonus points for Chapter 5. That means you can get 6 bonus points, basically for studying. I'm giving you points for studying. So take advantage of that, please. Okay, now we get to meet, so let's talk about our lab. First off, the lab we're going to do is on organic molecules, diffusion, and osmosis. That's mostly stuff that we talked about in last week's lecture in the 2, 3, and 4, Chapter 2, 3, and 4 lecture that we went through. All right, so it'll be a good chance to kind of review that, ask any questions that you have. We can go through that together. But you don't have to bring anything with you. Like if you've got your notes or anything, you can bring that. But as far as like a lab manual, I'm going to have sheets printed off, and you can just kind of fill out those sheets while you're here. You don't have to bring anything as far as that goes. All right, so a couple things real quick. You'll have to go through, if you've been on any classes on campus for the last year or so, there are temperature screening checkpoints set up. So we are on the East Broad campus. If you're familiar with Gadsden State, like George Wallace Drive is the main road that runs through the campus. Over on like Wallace Hall and Allen Hall and where most of the other academic classes are is the Wallace Drive campus. We're on the opposite side where the technical school is, where Ford Center is the big like 3-story building. And if you know where the One Stop Center is, the science building is the big building that you drive by before you get to the One Stop Center. So we're right there. You will turn through that intersection like you're driving towards the One Stop Center. And then a couple hundred feet up, there's going to be a checkpoint where they're just going to screen your temperature. So here's the heads up, is that can back up. Like it's already backed up this semester, and science classes aren't even meeting yet. So leave, I would say, at least 15 minutes early, because there's a really good chance that it's going to be backed up, and it's going to take a while to get through that checkpoint. They'll screen your temperature. They will give you a wristband that's color-coded, different color for each day. So you'll put that on. And then as soon as you go through that checkpoint, you'll turn left, and that's where the science building parking is. So just make sure that you give yourself a little extra time to do that. When you walk into the building, there's some sign-in sheets where you'll have to sign in and say that just for contact tracing, if someone was positive, we can notify everyone who was in the building with them. And then our lab where we're going to meet is room 117. So you'll walk into the lobby. There'll probably be people like directing you where to go, but you'll turn left and you'll go down a really long hallway to the left. 117 is almost, it's not the very last room, but it's almost the last room at the end of that hallway on the left. I'm sure I'll be there like kind of directing everyone where to go, so just look for me. But that's where we'll meet, okay? You have to wear a mask. We're still under a mask mandate, and that's Gadsden State's policy anyway, so have a mask. I'll go through a quick spill, but listen, I know that they're not the most convenient things, but I think everyone in this class is probably going into some type of a medical field, so you're going to have to get used to properly wearing PPE, so this is a really good chance to do that. So mask on, over the nose, air comes out of your nose just as much as the mouth, so like this thing right here doesn't help that much. But come with a mask, and you need your COVID waiver form. So that is in the top left. There's actually a tab that says COVID waiver form. If you'll click on that, print that off, sign your name, and bring that with you. Gadsden State's policy is that you have to have signed one of those to be on campus. And I know you might have turned it in for another class, but I'm just going to collect them for everybody in my class, so I've got a copy. I'll have a couple extra if you can't print to bring that with you, but try to print that and bring it with you. All right? Okay, so I set up a sign-up for everyone to pick the day that you want to attend. We're having to split up into different groups just to make sure that we can stay spaced out the way we need to this semester. So most of you picked a day, and if you did that, you're good. Whatever day you signed up for is fine. Group A is going to attend on Monday. That'll be January 25th at 8 o'clock. Group B, you will show up on Wednesdays. A few of you didn't sign up for a day, so check your messages. And I probably told you, like, this day was full. You need to attend on whichever day. Just check. Make sure you show up on the right day, because if it's the wrong day, we're probably not going to have a place for you to sit. That part of Gadsden State's policy is you have to show up on the day that you're assigned. You can't just kind of jump back and forth. All right? So Group A is on Monday. Group B is on Wednesday. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but from here on out, we'll be meeting once a week. But if you're on Group A, you will always come in on Monday. If you're Group B, you will always come in on Wednesday. It won't bounce around. You won't switch back and forth. All right. Most of the time, we will be doing labs, but there will be a few times we're going to take our test in person too. So you do have to show up on campus on your assigned day to take tests. So just be aware of that. Look at the schedule and make sure there's not a conflict with any of those dates. So like, for example, next week, we don't have a lab, but you'll show up and we'll take the test at that time. All right. So that was my last part. Just a reminder, next week is your first exam. It's going to cover chapters 1 through 5. So that intro chapter we did back in week 1, chapters 2, 3, and 4 that we did last week, and then the tissue chapter that we're doing this week. All of those are going to be on the exam. Make sure you're studying. If you go to the learning materials and click on that Unit 1 folder, there's a study guide down at the bottom. So use that if you're not using that already. Okay? I think that is it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be glad to help.